We get started? Now that Neil's
Yeah.
here, we can get started?
Yep. Dylan had a funeral, so he was off today, so I offered to
Okay.
jump in and help take over.
Appreciate you
So-
remembering us.
Oh, I never forget you guys, never.
So,
Has everyone met one of my new favorite people, Carolyn?
yes, Caroline, how are you?
Hi, good to see you. Nice to meet some people here. Yeah, I do bike walk Farmington with Ron and volunteer, and it's a good time, and I've been doing that since 2020 when the pandemic hit. Right about then.
So you've survived Ron for 3 years. That's pretty good.
Been a
And
good 3
Bruce.
years.
And Bruce Donald, you'll appreciate this. She's a student of like safe, roadways and stuff like that. I get an
Excellent.
article all the time on just different, things that are going on. And so, yeah.
Excellent. Yep. Well, I spend a lot of time at that as well. It's this whole issue of best practices and whatnot is a sliding scale sometimes, you think, but it's interesting. The new AASHTO guide is supposedly coming out this fall, which is going to have a whole new chapter on bicycle and pedestrian facilities in it.
Okay.
Really?
Yeah, and I'm curious. I think everyone's curious to see it. They've been working on it for 3 years.
Oh, wow. Will you send that out when it,
So of course, yeah, absolutely. I'll probably get it the day of. It wouldn't surprise me.
All right.
I just haven't seen it yet. But it was supposed to be out last year, but they keep delaying it. I think they keep adding stuff to it.
Sorry for interrupting you, CJ, opening the meeting.
Ron, I'm used to it. Thank you, though.
Mm.
Yeah. So what's our bike walk Farmington post? What do we got there?
Our bike walk Farmington post.
That's our first
Yes,
order of
that's
business.
the only thing on the agenda I wasn't quite sure about. So I'm not sure if there was an email that went around that I wasn't part of or discussion.
Oh, it was what I had submitted kind of close to the beginning of the meeting last time. It was a former, so I had asked on Bike Walk,
Oh, okay, yes.
Yep. I had asked people if any issues that they had, and a lot came back about the bus stops.
Yes.
And one of them by one of our former members and someone else. And on the same email was actually Carolyn had a little something she wanted to talk about when it's time to talk about such things. Going through her neighborhood, access through her neighborhood type of thing. So yeah, whenever we want to look at those. I actually don't have them. I just got back from taking my son out to his 40th birthday.
Wow.
Do I look like I have a 40-year-old son? Come on.
It's like
mad
you
if I-
are someone's
would you be mad if I
40-year-old
said
son,
yes?
Ron. I'll give you that.
Not what I was looking for, guys. But anyway,
There's no love here, Ron. You know
no,
that.
there's not. Carolyn, there's really not.
Brutal.
Yeah.
Ron, did you just turn 40? Happy birthday.
Well, thanks.
Very
I have a
good.
son who turned 40, actually. So anyway, I'm a little unorganized.
Yeah, those
Okay.
bus stops, Dylan had talked to me on those. There was one of them over on Cinnamon Road, over by the Dunkin' Donuts at the corner of Birdseye, or Cinnamon and Birdseye right in there. And I said, that's easy. We can talk to the town about getting that cleared out. So there was a couple other ones that he went over with me, and there's some we can work on. Some of them are state that had to do with traffic signals and adjusting the signals. I think that was at the Knollwood Road one. So
But I'm sorry, what's the issue with the bus stops?
I think it was hard to see them. There was like the sign was hard to see because I think there was some trees or some bushes that had grown over them. So just things like that. And there was a
Well,
couple of things like I want to say it was Knollwood or something crossing the road. The signal was not a dedicated ped phase. What it did is it Farmington Avenue would get the red light, but Knollwood would come out, so it is a little unsafe. But they're working on, the state's looking at redoing all those timings on that, out on that street, so we're kind of waiting on that.
Okay, so is there a way, and again, I wish I had it in front of me, is there a way we can check them off as we
Yes.
go along?
And what I'll do is, like I said, I wasn't sure what that was when I saw it. But now that once you said it, I said, I do remember Dylan talking to me on that. So what I'll do is we'll get that list and we'll check off and go through each one and either say, action taken, or we'll go over each one. All right. And then now probably what I'll do is we won't even wait for the next, meeting. We'll just follow up with you guys, next week or so. All right.
Sounds
Okay,
good.
gotta keep everyone happy and safe.
No, understood. And these are great because these are things that not all of us see every single day. So,
Yeah, so I think I'm gonna ask more often, which could create other problems, but I'm gonna ask, just
Good.
put it out there. Look, what do you see out there? What do you
it's
think
fine.
needs to be changed? So, and then Carolyn had something. Go ahead, Carolyn.
Yeah, I have a little bit of a spiel, if that's okay, if you guys have a minute. My husband and my daughter and I, we live on Tane Mountain Road, which is off of River Road. And it is not really easy to access the rails to trails, the multi-use trail. Our street's only about 1/10 of a mile away, but it's actually really tricky to get to the trail. And I've actually taken some pictures. I don't know if if I can kind of dive in and even screen share. I don't know if this is okay. I just kind of jump in. Go ahead.
Up the chair.
Let's go ahead.
Okay, let's see. I'm not too familiar with Zoom as a platform. So I'm gonna see what I can do here.
I think the only way we could do is I have to make you a co-host.
Well,
So
you know
hold
what?
on here.
Okay.
How's it going, Matt?
Got my permit today for the Frozen Four, so life is going well.
Nice.
Don't roll your eyes, CJ.
The screen didn't blank out in time, sorry.
All right. So, can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
Nice. I wanted to take a picture of the distance, or a picture of the road between Tane Mountain, and we're looking down here. That's the 1/10 of the mile to the crosswalk and the small parking lot on River Road. I'm imagining you guys are super familiar with kind of
No.
yeah.
Still waiting for the TikTok.
Would you settle for a chocolate heart?
Why wasn't the president on the
Okay. So there's not really like a great place to walk. To the right you have a little bit of a hill, and the cars kind of whip around this blind curve a bit. Not a great place to walk. And then to the left you kind of have a steep drop off. A lot of trash is there. I don't know if you could probably see a couple of little pieces of trash in that picture, but the grass gets really tall. Basically, like, you know, there's not a great, you're kind of shimmying either way. You're like shimmying to the right on the side of a hill, to the left, you're kind of balancing. You can, let's see. Let's go back. Yeah, so you're kind of, just to give you a sense of what's going on. I have a couple of other images. Let me see if I can pull out my second one. Oh, no, not that. There we go. So you've got the guardrail, but it is kind of tricky. And this is a picture I just took in the winter, so you won't see that kind of tall grass that develops a lot of times in the summer, but it's a little uncomfortable trying to get down to the trail. And you all had a bit of a speed counter a couple years ago, right at that crosswalk, I think, for cars. And you're kind of able to see what speed the cars are going, and a lot of them go above 40 miles per hour, which it's not like a super comfortable speed to share if you're going to walk on the road. And then for my family, we would need a stroller because I have a 6-month-old. A couple other families on my street, they have strollers too, and I know that they use the bike pass. And so it would just be, I think, nice to kind of, just suggest and to the powers that be, that there's some way, a protected way to get to the trail. And I think a lot of families, I imagine, probably have the same concern, that they want to walk and bike safely, but not really a safe way to get there from their own houses or their own neighborhoods. And I just thought it might be a good idea to just speak up instead of kind of suffering in silence, and kind of make it more of a conversation with people. And if you all want, I could talk to my neighbors or whatever and just see if I know I'm not the only person kind of in my own neighborhood that feels like, oh, it would be nice to kind of have a safe manner to get to the bike path.
Chair, if you don't mind, I can kind of jump in. I got a lot of history on this
Yeah, go ahead.
intersection here. What we have here is just as you showed, with that steep slope on the edge of River Road, that slope goes down to private property. On the other side, same thing, very steep slope. So construction of a sidewalk is not going to be easy. When River Road was first brought in for a grant for the design, and God, I'll now be dating myself. I want to probably say the late 90s. Sidewalks was something of a consideration. A lot of the neighborhood was against it. All right, mainly because of the cost of the sidewalk and the maintenance of them. So because they have to maintain them. So River Road was constructed as you see it today without the sidewalks. Then the trail came in after. So we have been looking at trying to make these kind of connections. On the right-hand side of this picture, that lot, if you see that the for sale sign, that's an old subdivision. And as part of that subdivision, they need to take down that hill. Okay. So as part of that, they're supposed to put a sidewalk along the side of River Road, all the way, and that's only, and then you could only do that by actually lowering that hill because of that steep slope. The only other way you can do it is getting into a very expensive project with a retaining wall. You'd be cutting into that slope, cutting down the trees, putting in a retaining wall. So it's a very, very expensive project. So this option was something that was brought up when this was approved back in the early 2000s. I want to say 2000. So it was off the market for a while. Now it's back on the market. So as you said, hopefully it's sold soon, and that hill will get taken down and a sidewalk will get constructed as part of that. In the meantime, unfortunately, there is no, I understand your plight and I understand trying to get there. So I know with Strawfield, we made a last ditch effort when they were building that to try to get them to tie it in. So then they did some work over there to tie into the trail. Unfortunately, everything around it is private property, and there really is no town property that we can cut through to get there. So at this point, hopefully it's a waiting game, but hopefully that the development you see here in the picture gets done soon, or gets sold soon, and a contractor looks to get in there and start doing the work.
Hey, Bruce, do you know?
Yes.
Do you know what the lane width is there?
Not off the top of my head, but I want to say it's probably a 26-foot road, so it's probably a 13-foot.
All right, I say that because the state will allow you to go down to 11
No,
for
agreed.
that speed,
Mhm.
which means if you moved the yellow lines one way, you could do a white line marking on one side. If you did both sides, you're only going to get like 2 feet, but so that's a possibility too.
It is. We looked at that and I am just a little concerned with the sight lines. The sight lines
Yeah, those sight lines are not good.
and the speeds. I mean, and just like Carolyn was saying, I mean, I think just being on the road, be it a white line or not, I think is still just a pretty unsafe feeling. You know, it's getting everyone off of that onto a behind that curb on a sidewalk or some kind of a safer platform.
Bruce, Bruce here. If it did get restriped and got changed from a 13 to an 11-foot lane, wouldn't the narrow lane make people feel more uncomfortable driving quicker and just slow down the speed that way?
Yeah, no, it does have a traffic calming effect. There's no question. But you know, again, you know, what price glory, right? I mean, you know, people are still going to go barreling through there.
Sure.
So, you know, I mean, Bruce's point is well taken. I just, the last thing we want is somebody to get mown down, right?
Mhm.
So,
well, I think people are going to be walking it to get to the bike path either way. So,
Yeah.
you know, there's the question, are they going to get mowed down without a striped line? Or are they going to get mowed down with one? You know, and which is more likely?
I mean, personally, I would think, and I mean, you know, and I said, this is to each his own. If I have kids in a stroller, I'm probably going to drive down to the parking lot, you know, either the one right on River Road or the one on Collinsville Road.
That's usually what we end up doing, but
Yeah.
it feels crazy to do.
It does. You got to drive to the trail. Understood.
Yeah.
Understand. But
Yeah.
like I said, this is part of the goal, is to try to make these connections and trying
Mhm.
to fix the ways of the past when things like these were fought, you know.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
So is there a reason we couldn't restripe it?
well, exactly what I was saying is I think the safety is the concern. I mean, that's the biggest concern. You know, we have those sharrows along the road because we didn't want to stripe it. We wanted to have it, you know, it is a tight road. It's a tough road with winding curves and tough sight lines. So I think putting in a stripe line gives someone the false sense of security. I'm coming down there with my kids and I'm on the downside of that hill, and some car comes flying around the corner and doesn't expect to see me. You know?
Sure, and you wouldn't be always facing oncoming traffic either.
Yep.
The other thing Carolyn brought up that is absolutely true is the speed limit on there for most cars is 40 to 45 because they're using it as a cut through to get around the center of Unionville. The problem with making it more narrow, and I'm sure Bruce can talk to this, is back when this road was narrow, it's still a huge there's still a huge cycling community that uses this road to get from Bristol out to areas like Canton and New Hartford. And to stripe it or make the lane a little smaller, I don't think is going to make much difference in the driver behavior.
yeah,
And that's the real issue. I think she's right. It would be great to have a sidewalk there someday. I know Terry Jacupko years ago when the bike path was put in, made a big deal about getting a sidewalk, and she got it almost as far down as that first subdevelopment on the left-hand side of River Road coming down the hill. But there's, you know, if you look off the edges of the road there, it's really tight. It just is what it is. But it's a lot safer than it used to be.
Yes, exactly.
Nice. Oh, well, thank you guys for explaining some history and letting me know where.
Yeah, sorry for the bad news, Carolyn.
That's okay. No, I mean, I'm happy to talk about it and learn a little bit from you all. So thank you.
That's good. Thank you, Carolyn. And that's one of our challenges all over town is, you know, we all know anywhere you go. When my kids were younger, we were on Mountain Spring, and to get there to the trails, we packed them up in the car because we weren't going to cross Farmington Avenue with the kids. It just couldn't happen. So that's been sort of one of the challenges since we started this group and the old bicycle friendly Farmington group. I was just trying to find out how we can get mostly east-west in town, because those are our biggest challenges. So,
Sure, and I think, you know, just east-west, I just imagine like being a woman and having a family and all that, like just different kinds of transportation other than just to work, you know, on a bike. Just it kind of opens up a lot of local trips that I think women and children tend to do, but yeah.
absolutely. Good. Appreciate that. Bruce, what you want to move on to our achievements?
All right. The achievements, I had a couple emails. I had to do a little bit of research on this. I had a couple of emails from everybody. One was from, let's see, Andres submitted his top 6. Neil, I got his top 7. I didn't see any other ones, so I'm not sure if I was not part of that email distribution list or not.
Bruce, are those achievements we're talking about or our
Oh, sorry,
priorities?
did I say, oh, I apologize. I was under the list of goals. I apologize. No.
Okay, yeah, we
No,
covered that last
no.
month.
Achievements, I don't have anything. So,
So I'm the one that asked Dylan to add it to the minutes. And, you know, just wanted to kind of get a summary of, you know, what have we accomplished in 2022? You know, so we can highlight that with the town, share it, you know, show that there's a good purpose to this and that we're getting stuff done.
mhm.
And
Um,
when Dylan gets back, let's get him to get the list together, since Bruce didn't get it passed to him. And we'll set up a time when we can come, you know, this group can come to the council and just give a presentation. It'll
Yeah.
probably not be until after the budget, but at that point, it'd be
Sure.
great to do that.
You know, but I was just struggling to kind of come up with, you know, things that we've accomplished last year, you know, that, you know, other than maintaining status quo.
Well, like we said, I think the problem is we've actually took a bunch of big projects on hand that take a lot of time, a lot of money, and a lot of grants. And those, as you guys are seeing, do not happen very quickly. So I think, as Dylan was saying, I think that last time is looking for those projects for our goals, to say big things and small things. I think those small things will definitely make us feel better, make
Sure.
you guys feel better, as well as the community seeing things happening. So,
No, but I mean, even on the big projects that, okay, here's the steps that, you know, we've got done and, you know, here's where farther along in the process, et cetera.
Yeah, we'll work on getting that, because I mean, there's been a lot that's been worked on this year. So even, you know, I think we just got something else sent out on the water fountains, things like that, the porta potties, those things, the signage, that type of stuff. But it'd be nice to have that, just so we can say, here are the things that we've been working on. Here's how we've at least moved the ball a little bit, and where we are.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, that's good. Good point.
I have a question.
Yes, sir. What's that, Rich?
I missed the beginning of the meeting. I apologize for that, but is Dylan, from the last meeting, he asked if I could get him invited to that Bike Ped Advisory Committee that meets once a month, and I believe it was last Friday. I got invites to it, but it's right at 9 o'clock during my work week or work day. So I couldn't make it. So I was just curious if he was able to make it. That was one thing I was gonna ask about, because he was.
I
gonna
will
do
check
it.
with him. Yeah, I will check. He didn't mention that to me. So
Nope.
that was a bike. What you said?
It's a
It's the,
Bike Ped Advisory Committee meeting for like the state.
it's DOT's captive legislatively appointed commission. Rich, I go to all of them. So, I mean, if you want me to say something specifically to them, I'm happy to do it.
Well, the reason I got invited initially was to bring up the whole, Route 4 jug handle.
Yep.
Line item. And I sat in on a couple of the meetings, and I brought back to this meeting that the next step was to go to CROG and ask for grant money. And that's what I suggested, you know, I could do something, I could write up something, anything, help draft something. And that's when Dylan asked to get invited to the meeting, because that was kind of, sounds like his role with the town to do that type of thing. So,
Now, this was for the path off of the Jug Handle down onto.
well, just
Wolfton Road.
that whole area in general, to
Yeah,
try to
that-
get it on their list, and it is on their agenda. I mean, it is a line item on their agenda.
It's on the agenda now, which is the good news.
Yeah.
I did meet with DOT 2 weeks ago. Yeah, 2 weeks ago, and mentioned it again. You know, and it takes a while for them to pick these things up. They did ask what the town wanted to do in terms of feasibility and design money, and I said I didn't quite know. But for instance, Bruce, have you thought about applying for? Remember we talked to like maybe $50,000-$60,000, something like that for.
Yes.
Are you looking for an application to the Rec Trails program, for instance?
Exactly, and I think that's kind of what we were looking towards, is to get that grant money to get a feasibility study put together, because as I actually, was saying that it starts with that feasibility study.
Absolutely.
Once you have that, then you have a better strength to get more grants that are in the future to get those kind of work, to get this thing finalized with further design and further construction dollars.
Okay, so if you need any help on that offline, because publicly I can't have anything to do with it, right? Because I want to be able to vote on it.
Are there
and if I have my sticky fingers on it, I can't vote on it. So
are the applications out?
Yeah, it's on Deep's website right now.
All right, okay, I'll talk to Dylan then. Okay.
Yeah, and just again, if there's anything, I can do as a citizen or on this committee to help, move that application forward, fill it out, write something, I'm available to do that, and happy to do it.
All right.
Yeah, no, I'd love to see us get that money for that, because I think, and that's the type of thing that, just as an aside, that the Connecticut Greenways Council, which is the other legislatively appointed body in the state, which I'm the chairman of. So we vet the applications for the Rec Trails program for Deep. And so I have to make sure I stay out of these conversations, other than to, prod everyone to apply.
All right.
But these types of bootstrapping projects in particular, and doing initial design studies is really why that program exists. It's the only money in the state that pays for it. So
Exactly.
yeah, so definitely do it.
Okay. I'll talk to Dylan. I'll see if he was aware of that.
Good.
Is this the time to talk about things that need to be followed up on?
Nope,
Nope, that would be,
We're not.
we're on the name change one.
Bruce.
this is Ron's favorite name change, I'm guessing.
Oh, there's the name change. Where are we with that? Or do I need to come down there to your office at Town Hall, CJ?
My office in Town Hall is that, do you see the stairs when you walk up the front?
Yeah.
Sit down there, I'll sit on the stairs with you. Well, we've gone from Bicycle Advisory Committee to Bicycle and Trails Advisory Committee.
Don't like
You
that.
still
one.
don't like that.
We need the
But
pedestrians.
but
We do.
you've also got your Bike Walk Farmington group that's in addition to that. So what's your goal for having a different name from Bicycle and Trails? You just want pedestrian in the name of this committee?
Well, what I did was a search of similar town committees, and they all pretty much, again, I'm not prepared, but I did send out everything at an earlier time. So in your Bike Advisory Committee folders on your emails, it's probably in there still, right? So I would have to find it again. It's Farmington Bicycle and Advisory Committee, something like that. And it goes along with what's pretty much used by a lot of other similar.
So
Committee.
which word do you want in? You don't want trails, you want pedestrian?
Yeah, because trails, there's plenty of trails committees, right? So pedestrian and bicycling will cover trails, just, it doesn't need to be
So it's the
mentioned.
Farmington Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee, that's good for you.
Well, let me check my notes and make sure it's exact.
Okay,
Right.
check your notes, send back.
I'll do that.
It doesn't make any huge difference whether we call it the Bicycle
No.
Advisory Committee or the Ron Goralski Memorial Committee.
It's
We can
optics.
call it
No,
whatever you
that'll be
want.
later in life. But there's myself and a couple other board members here. We're very much concerned about the crosswalk. And whether we need to pull the state out there or whatever, there needs to be some changes. And tonight I'm the voice for those people.
Okay, but that's not the name change. So send me the name change as you like it. I'll just send out an email, see if everybody's okay with that, and we'll change the name. That's an easy thing. That's pretty much, the change is going to be when you get your minutes and your agenda, it's going to be at the top of it. When we have it on our town council site, it'll be listed there. Go ahead.
Actually, the reason why I wanted that is because when we did have education up there on those top 5 lists.
Yep.
So part of that education will be posting helpful hints, tips, education. And I think we need just, we want to have police, police, we want everyone to endorse it. So I just think having us as the bike ped committee kind of shows, our focus really is keeping everyone safe more so on our roadways, right? Than it is the trails, because we've got the trail committee, and people are pretty much safe on the trails until they get to our crosswalks, which need attention.
Okay, send out
my
the wording
thinking.
when you find it, and we'll go from there.
All right, did I mention the crosswalk?
So we're moving on to item D. Now we're going to talk about goals for 23, and then we can mix that in here with our goals, because
All
that's
right.
going to be one of your goals. So, Bruce, do you have anything from the discussions on the goals?
No, I don't. All I had was that from what you guys talked about, and I'm not sure if that's the same thing, the project list, so.
So I remember I believe we went through and identified the top 5 goals at the last meeting. I don't know if there's any minutes on that, but they should be
It's not in the
listed
minutes,
and
yeah.
available there.
It's not in the minutes, I don't think, because it just says the January minute was committee. The members to choose top 5 items for discussion during the next meeting. So that's what he says in the minutes.
Okay. That might be a carryover from the December meeting.
Okay.
But anyways, because the crosswalk was not on our top 5, and I made a big stink about that at the end.
Okay.
And Ron and others joined in, so.
All right. So so then Dylan has the top 5, I assume?
should,
Was
yeah.
it complete, or were we still discussing it? Because we did need to get the crosswalk in there, even if it went to 6. I think everyone would agree,
That can be
right?
5A and 5B. How about that? You can stick to your top 5.
Okay,
Yeah, no, that's fine. I mean, that's a big issue. I know, I've seen your videos and your postings where, look, it's a big concern. That's a reality. We want to keep people safe, and we're talking about sidewalks and things and not giving people a false sense of security. If you've got a crosswalk where people aren't stopping at blinking lights or they're blowing through there, that's giving them a false sense of security. So we've got to figure out how to make those practical, not just, something that looks good standing up there alone.
okay, and just to add on to that for next meeting, because as I said, I'm not as prepared. I do have pictures from around the state, other areas where they use the signage in the middle of the crosswalk on the road. and I've got information on their value for being there. And also I noticed in Avon at some of the intersections where you can take a right on red where there's a crosswalk sign. I forget what, I have it here, but there's some signage that basically tells the car to beware of crossing
Okay.
pedestrians. And there's several areas in town where I believe we have that same issue,
Okay.
where you can take a right on red. So there's a few things that are lurking that I just want to be able to look into, and not just because it's not on our top 5. I think they're still really important safety wise.
Okay, that's very legitimate. I think part of that top 5 should just be crosswalks in general, and that would be more all encompassing, the key targeted crosswalks you're talking about, and also signage near the crosswalks for things like the right on red. So I think we can get all those encompassed in one of the top list.
I'm thinking dealing with the Unionville crosswalk there, that should be pretty straightforward.
It's a state road, so nothing straightforward, unfortunately. Right.
So to Ron's point of putting a sign in the middle, that makes cars feel claustrophobic. They'll notice something that's out of place, they'll slow down. And if we have to pull it up in the wintertime for plowing, okay. Get one of those spring-loaded signs, because I know our concern was that, somebody would hit one of those triangle, the tent signs and knock it over daily. But if it's spring-loaded, let it dent their front bumper and scare the heck out of them as they drive over, clang, 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 and then have it spring right back up again.
Got my vote, but I'll have some more information to solidify my stand.
DOT won't do that.
Okay.
DOT won't put the sign in there because I've
No,
seen
they won't.
it.
They won't put. They won't put movable bollards in a state road. They just won't.
You
I've
mean
tried.
the ones that bend and then come back up.
Not a chance. Not going to happen.
As I said, those are the state doesn't like them because, number one, if I'm coming down and I hit that sign and then it hits you standing on the side of the road, then the state's going to be liable for it. So the state really, I kind of tried to explain it to you guys last time, and I put a note, and I'll call the DOT again and see if anything has changed, but they're always
No.
adamant against allowing those in a state road.
They're in
Now-
school zones all the time. I
Town
travel
roads or
a
state
lot.
roads? State roads or town roads?
Town roads, absolutely.
Yes,
You can do
that's
whatever
right.
you want on town roads.
Exactly. State roads is different.
Yeah. No, that's the problem. That's the problem. And in fact, they get pissed off if you put those movable, you must stop and crosswalk signs. Now, the problem with those, of course, is you lose those every week. So you'd have to buy a gross of them every year just to make that work. And no one's going to do that.
Well, that's where I was thinking, like that, similar to that must stop and crosswalk sign, but if it's on the spring-loaded base, you don't have to worry about it hitting it and, hitting somebody in the side of the road, it'll just flop down.
Yeah, you'd still have, you see, they have to be fixed. They have to be anchored somehow, right?
Sure.
So, in Canada, they will anchor them with what they call seasonal bolts. You can do this.
Yeah.
As a practical matter, you can do this. The thing is, the DOT just is resistant. In state routes.
Okay, so I guess it's one of those things where we find out why. Is it just someone being, stubborn like we've seen, or is there a good enough reason?
So Ron, are you saying that we should just keep pushing them until we get a firm no? Instead of just shutting ourselves down before asking?
Yeah, that's what we do. That's what I like to do with everything.
Oh, I think it's worth.
You
It's worth having Bruce talk to DOT and get a firm opinion, because they'll eventually, if you go high enough, they'll give you a firm opinion.
Is it a matter of just talking to them and getting the no that we're expecting quickly, or making a case for trying to get a yes?
Oh, no, that's not how DOT works.
Okay.
Put this way, you
I'm
guys,
I-
what?
I apologize. I shouldn't laugh because it's not, but they don't work that way. They've got their rules. And their rules tends to be, and Bruce is 100% correct. They tend to lie along what is our contingent liability if we throw something in a road. That's basically what it boils down to.
So with the seasonal bolts, I mean, if you address that liability of the sign's gonna knock somebody out,
Yeah, I
is
just
there,
I mean,
is there a
again,
liability? Yeah,
well, I mean, but don't forget it's their perception, right?
yeah, sure.
So our perception may be X, and that may not be
Right.
theirs.
But it's up to us to change their perception.
Oh,
Give us
no
some
question.
insight. Yeah,
Oh yeah, no, I'm not arguing that point. I agree with that.
Okay.
It's just that as a short-term issue, it's been a non-starter because we've tried in other communities over the years, and as you can imagine, the East Coast Greenway has a ton
sure.
of road crossings, some of which are brutal.
Yeah,
And we've had huge difficulty, not just in Connecticut, elsewhere too.
Okay, common sense doesn't always prevail, but we can move on.
can we at least move the pole, or is that also state?
The which pole?
The light, the pole to activate the crosswalk light.
Oh, you mean to move it up to where the lane is?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, we've talked about this before. I put a note, I'm gonna try to get a meeting on site. I think that's the only way we're gonna get this go to, and because like I said, we got pushed from the handicap people that wanted to move. So we spun it for the handicap people. So we're fighting a thing back and forth here. So I think that's the best way we're gonna do it. So, okay.
What's
That's
the
where the-
handicap? What's their objection to having the pole to the
They were
right?
having a hard time getting to the button. So we had to spin it so they could access the button.
Oh,
So
can you stick just 2 buttons on it?
I don't know. And that's what we've been, as you've seen in the past, we've had a lot of problems with that specific system. It goes into a flash and it gets stuck, and we've had a ton of problems with it. So going in there and fiddling with it, I hope it doesn't do anything else, but I know, like I said, we've looked at a lot of those things. We've looked at the button. We've looked at the infrared system for those.
Probably cheaper to have an intern just stand there and be a flagger.
Could be. So I'm just setting.
All right, so those are more discussions with DOT, and we have to, we can reach out to them individually as a group or different groups, and if you can move the bar, great, but DOT, as Bruce said, is not generally a movable object, but it's always worth a try. Give them a different thing to think about. You want to talk about the Trails Council updates?
So they formed a committee, and since I didn't have anything else to do with other committees, I joined it. It's actually not just our Trails Committee, it's members from all the way down the line. The Trail Signage Committee. So I jumped on that because we have such a large portion of the trail, and we have started to do some of our signage. So the idea is to get hopefully matching, and Bruce I'm sure knows about this, signage that's kind of matches from town to town, or is like, it's accurate with the whole renaming and stuff, right, Bruce? There's a
Yeah,
whole.
so let me spend a couple of minutes to
you.
describe this in a little more detail. So one of the reasons why this has not come up early, well, it comes up all the time, but it hasn't come up earlier in earnest because the Farmington Canal Heritage Trail, so-called, although it might be called the New Haven, Northampton Canal something, in its entirety through Massachusetts, still currently doesn't have a mile zero because New Haven Phase 4 and Phase 5. Phase 4, by the way, is going to be done in April or May this year. Phase 5, and there was never a Phase 5, but now there is, because New Haven is going to actually peel off the right-hand piece of State Street and make that into a dedicated bike lane going down from Orange Street, where the trail is going to end in a couple of months, straight down to the current trail on Water Street, and then go down to Long Wharf, which is in fact mile 0 of the trail. There's that. Now, the other thing is that the center of Plainville is not designed yet. So Plainville 1 is designed, Plainville 2 is designed. Plainville 2 is Northwest Drive and does this, goes under, in a tunnel under 72. And I've seen the design, this design's done. And stops right above the Plainville Town Hall. Problem for this project is that Phase 3 is not designed. So that's the center of Plainville. When they get that design essentially complete and the town approves it, then, and in fact, really only then, you can do correct mile markings from mile 0 all the way up to the Suffield Southwick border in precisely and correctly. And that's kind of what we're waiting for is to get, you know, some big grant, federal grant, state grant, whatever it is, this is not going to be cheap, to do, you know, proper signage and, you know, probably quarter-mile signage, although that's one of the reasons why this committee is meeting to decide,
Yeah.
you know, how, you know, what it's going to look like. But the state parks just completed something for the entirety of the Hot River Trail. That's going to be quarter-mile, and it's going to be color-coded for each individual town with the color, the town seal, and the trail seal on it, so that the touristas know exactly where they are. And so when they call in for an injury, for instance, you've got a mile marker, and immediately the dispatcher knows exactly where the EMTs need to go. So, or the police or whatever it is. And so it's not just wayfinding, it's also, you know, obviously, you know, runners in particular want to know exactly, you know, how much mileage there is. Bicyclists, they tend to have, you know, computers now, but the real other part of this is being able to see point to point to wayfinding signage. So that's where the quarter of a mile comes from. And then this issue of safety with, you know, getting police and the first responders out to an incident within each municipality. So that's the story.
And like many other, thanks, Bruce, long trails in the country, and a lot of the members on this board have been, and a lot of you probably have, I know you have, want to make it so it's uniform, so it looks like one in the same trail. You know, it makes you feel like, okay, I'm traveling this trail from the beginning to the end, instead of, oh, I'm on a little, you know, I'm on a fractured type of trailway that's just joining here and there. So that's another goal. I've got the whole list here. Bruce, I don't know if you know what John Bolduc in the Hampton area. Yeah, he's done a lot of work on this, and he joined in the meeting. And there's just a lot of great ideas. It'll just take a while, and then I'll pass on that information as I get it to the committee.
Yep. And you know, there's and I've seen some brilliant ideas, you know, one of which is to actually have, instead of using signage, is to have medallions on the trail itself that are color coded for the town, for each individual town, and have all that information on it. There's a lot of ideas, a lot of interesting stuff.
Yeah. All right. So from the town, so we actually meet again. We're meeting in person next week for the Trails Council. So I really can't think of anything that comes to the top of my head that's gone on.
Let's see. So let me, Ride the State, which is June 24th this year, is going to go on. That's New Haven to Southwick. The other various, club rides that the Ferndale Valley Trails Council does, they're announcing those dates, I think, soon. So
Yeah.
those dates will be on the website. What I haven't heard is traditionally there's a cleanup day, but I don't think, Ron, did they announce a date for?
No,
cleanup?
so we're gonna do like last year where each town is gonna do it on their town's
Oh, okay.
cleanup date. Which hopefully it's usually Earth Day
Yeah, okay.
for everyone. Mhm.
And then National Trails Day is June 3, whatever that Saturday is, first Saturday of June. And there's a bunch of events running there. I'm trying to think of what else was on that agenda. There's a lot of stuff on that agenda.
Yeah. I can pass everything along once I get it, once it has dates attached to it. So yeah, that's about it from there, I think.
Great. Thank you for that. Our road signage, Bruce?
I don't have anything on that. I'm not sure if that was for a project or something that you guys are working on. It doesn't ring a bell with me.
I'm assuming that's the Wayfinder signs that we're going to be putting up by Depot Place. That's my guess. I
Right?
don't know
If
what.
that's them, yeah, that's them. Those are on order. And we just signed off on the last design. So, and they're going to construction. Unfortunately, we had placed the order for our poles for the signage in November. So those poles don't come into late March, I think, is what they said. So,
Okay.
And I think, could be wrong, that we had talked about some signage, maybe like 3 feet to pass, so drivers actually know that there's such a thing. So I think we did have still a lot more to talk about as far as that goes. But again, we can wait for Dylan if that's easier, but because we have the warmer weather coming and maybe we can get those in.
are you talking about permanent signs on a post?
Yeah, like through the flats where people fly and don't care about
Okay.
vulnerable users.
Right.
My new favorite term.
You're what? Vulnerable user?
Vulnerable users, yeah.
Okay.
Got a lot of impact to it.
Okay.
Vulnerable. users.
Ron, is that our new preferred sign? Is the 3 feet to pass? Are there other?
Well, that's mine. Because you'll be surprised when you get a chance during the week, ask 10 people if they've ever heard of that law who aren't cyclists and tell me how many have, and you'll probably be shocked.
I won't be shocked because none of them will. I know that.
Right.
Speaking of that, part of our group is education as well. I don't think did we ever do a 3 foot to pass on in the newsletter?
We can do that in our newsletter.
I think we did.
Did we? It wouldn't be, and I think you wrote, was that the one that you wrote for us?
I believe it is. And
You know what?
As I get-
Let's resurrect that and let's get that in the newsletter for the
Yeah.
spring. You
Yeah,
know,
as
that's a
we
good-
get
that's a good
rolling,
idea.
I do want to hit social media a lot more because I think that's where a lot of townspeople go, is to like Farmington Eats, or Farmington Complains, whatever, Farmington Talks, Unionville.
Mhm.
I think a lot of people go there, and I'm collecting different articles and subjects to reach out to people about, so they can call me names and tell me how bad cyclists are, and I can argue with them all day. So we're gonna get that going.
Sounds great.
It's gonna be great.
okay.
Okay, anything else?
So with that, Ron, you should be a politician. It sounds like you're ready to start having people throw things at you.
November, Ron. Elections in November. What are we gonna
No.
run you for?
No, I figured out that I just can't because I'm kind of not smart enough. We'll just leave it at that.
Hey,
To be
Ron, if
able to
I can
do
do
that.
it, you can do it. Don't worry about that.
Yeah, this
Uh,
is fun. That would not be fun for me.
So CJ, do you have like a button you push to beep when people use colorful expletives?
no, I think it would be nice to bring an air horn. When we get into the budget meetings, I might do that. Really get their attention.
Yeah, better you than me. I couldn't do those meetings.
Now, this will be a fun one, as I said.
So I do have something. So if we're moving on to like bike walk Farmington stuff, or actually kind of like Ron stuff. Have we gotten there yet or no? You have more?
We passed it.
I think you missed it. You missed your big opportunity, Ron.
No, I'm usually last because I like to leave everybody happy and smiling. So
Yeah, he's
Go
like a
ahead.
dog,
Go ahead,
like a
Ron.
dog with a bone.
Go ahead.
So it was interesting because I finally got to be the part of a process where I was in the Vision Zero Education Committee, and I never really knew. So our job was to come up with ideas to educate drivers to make the road safer that would hopefully get put into a bill, which Bruce has been talking about, we've been talking about forever. And it actually did. One, as far as re-educating drivers when they renew their license, and there would be some bike safety, portions to it. And that got put into the bill, and I got to watch all day long a week ago Monday. I watched the hearing, what was it called, Bruce?
Yeah, it's legislative testimony.
Yeah, and it was just really cool, and I learned a real
Transportation
lot.
Committee. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was there.
Oh yeah, and I got to hear a lot of testimony, and I got to hear a lot of really dumb people and a lot of really smart people.
Yeah, welcome to politics. Yes, that's
Which
exactly
is
correct.
what
Yes.
actually turned me off, because I'm like, I just can't handle these people, because I'm texting Amy Watkins back and forth like, who is this person? And anyway, so I got to get involved in that. So I learned a lot from that, which I'll be passing on as we move along here. Not tonight, but the other thing is that someone sitting here in our little Brady Bunch squares was a truck from Sanford and Hawley came quite close to killing them maybe. And so as it turns out, my sister-in-law's the whatever there. And anyway, the owners were very upset that happened, or that people had seen the video, I think is what it is. Anyway, long story short, some of us here are going there on Thursday for a driver's education course. Only getting a half hour, which is way too short, and I'll let that be known while I'm up there. But it's a step in the right direction. And someone else here on our panel had a very close call with a truck from another company. So we are going to start reaching out to companies that have truck drivers who don't know these laws or safety, recommendations, and hopefully educate a lot of them. Now, what I did hear, now my sister works for Yard Metals, and they're a huge company that they have mandated, they have to have education. Well, that doesn't sound like the case where I'm going, but hopefully we're gonna try to make the roads a little bit safer. And that's a first step, and we'll see how that goes. And like I said, I would love to expand the program to other companies in Farmington.
Yeah, Ron and I are going to put something together to kind of educate the drivers a little bit, and we're going to see how it flies. Hopefully it'll do a good job.
Great.
Yeah, again, it's going to be squeezed in to too short a time, so we actually have to rehearse it. Okay.
Yeah, we should probably do that before next Thursday.
And anyway, so that's something else in the education department that we're hoping to launch. And everyone's invited to join in at one time or another and, keep this going and build it up.
Perfect.
Fantastic.
Hmm.
All right, that was the Ron moment. Okay, item E, do we want to approve the minutes of the January 11th meeting? Anybody read them?
Oh, I always read the minutes.
All right, wanna make a
That was the
motion
one
to
that
approve?
didn't include our top list. Okay. I'll
Do we have a
second.
second?
Mhm.
Well, you made the motion. We need a different person to make a second.
Oh, I thought you did.
I don't think you
Pick
can. I'll
someone?
second.
Thank you. Got a motion, a second. All in favor? Aye. Okay, motion passed. We've approved the minutes. Any last items before we adjourn then?
Well, I just have like a quick question. Seeing that we're
Okay,
all,
so I heard a motion to adjourn. Is that?
seeing that we're all males, I'm just wondering if in the future, if maybe we found like the perfect female person to slide into our little group here.
Right.
Possibility, right?
Well, we gotta be careful because when we founded the committee in 2013, we had 2 council members, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 residents, a Board of Education and a Board of Education the member. Those
Right.
slots are all, other than the Board of Education member, all those slots have been full.
Right, but
Every time they make
how-
a committee, they make the number of people.
Yeah. But how easy is that? That's easy enough, I think. To add.
Or like I said, I mean, it is a public meeting, so anybody can attend and talk during public comment as well,
I think having a permanent spot is different than just having somebody ad hoc coming in.
Okay, well, it's up to you guys. I just want to let you, that's all. I got the minutes, so I wanted to make sure everyone was aware of that. So if we need to, it'll have to go through.
Do we-
We'll look into expanding the group, Ron. We'll see what, if we can make it a larger group so we can get more people in. Because it's nice to have people interested. It's nice that everybody's showing up, which is good, because for a while there, we had people who weren't showing up. And we still have never gotten anybody from the Board of Education. I've had zero luck with that. So, okay. Very good. We'll look at
Great.
that.
Thanks for letting me sit in. This was
Thank
really
you,
cool.
Carolyn.
You're
Thanks for
welcome.
joining us.
Motion to adjourn?
Thank you. Motion to adjourn. Just a second.
Second.
All in favor? All right. Thank you, folks.
We'll see
Thanks,
you.
guys. Have a great
Thank you.
night.
All right, have
Good
a
to see you all.
Bye.